Hello to everybody who's watching. My name is Carl Newbold and I am a Learning and Access Officer at Leeds Museums and Galleries, specifically on a project called Careers for All, which is what I'm going to talk about today. Now I'm in a strange situation that I'm talking to a camera in my laptop when I was expecting to talk to a room full of people. But it has actually given me a great opportunity to be able to record lots of videos from people who are involved in the Careers for All programme. So throughout this presentation you'll see videos of not only myself but also my colleagues and teachers and pupils, all of which who have been involved in some of our career aspiring activities. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope the variety of voices will give you a nice broad spectrum and feel about what we do. So I'm going to split this presentation into roughly 5 different sections. First of all, we're going to have a look at the background to Careers for All. Then I'm going to do a little bit about what we do. Then a chapter on how does it work. And then the 4th chapter is going to be on how to make your career experiences meaningful. Finally, we'll finish off with what we're hoping to achieve next in the future of Careers for All. So, why Careers for All? Well, I want to start off with a couple of rather shocking statistics. In 2019, MenCap identified that the number of people with special educational needs and disabilities who are in sustained employment is at only 6%. And this number is falling. In 2015, it was at 7%. As well as this, the Career Enterprise Company highlighted that a young person who has 4 or more high-quality encounters with an employer is 86% less likely to be unemployed or not in education and training. With this knowledge, we realised that something needed to be done. Essentially, there was this huge gap, and as a museum and gallery professional, I wanted to help. So opportunities were created and young people were getting involved with some of our employment programs. Now I'm part of the Careers for All program, but I'm not by any means the first person to be exploring this pathway. So in the next video, I would like to introduce to you Esther, who works in our community team and has been doing great work at Leeds City Museum to help young people with special educational needs and disabilities to gain those career employment opportunities.
Hi, my name is Esther Hughes. I'm the Youth Engagement Officer at Leeds Museums and Galleries, based at Leeds City Museum, and I've been asked to say a few things about our relationship with Swarthmore Education Centre. I've been working with Swarthmore for probably 2 or 3 years now, and one of the things that we've developed is a project placement scheme that really responds to the needs of the young people. So taking just 1 or 2 young people at a time, we do community co-creation projects or live briefs that mean that the young people get valuable experience of a real workplace, but within quite a safe and pastoral environment. And the key to this has been getting to know the young people and listening to the college's advice about what their interests are, what would really help them to develop, and then matching that with what the museum can provide and what the museum needs. So we've run projects where young people have co-curated parts of larger displays. So we worked with 2 young people to co-curate a project about enterprise in Leeds. We've worked with young people to curate an object box about dinosaurs, and that student was really passionate about dinosaurs, so it was really good to see his passion channeled and contained within a way where it could be used and communicated to the rest of the public. We've worked with a young person on an LGBT plus case where that young person actually helped us to curate that case, decide which objects went on display and what the storyline of the case was going to be, and then got some practical hands-on experience actually installing the case. And also we've worked with some young Leeds United fans to do a display, a sort of community curated display about Leeds United for their centenary. I think it's one of the relationships that I'm proudest of, the one that the museum service has with Swarthmore. I think that the benefit of the museum being a community hub and providing these experiences for the students is enormous, because it allows the students to feel comfortable and at home within the museum space. It's adding to our displays immeasurably, adding to the voices that we hear in our collections, and I think that is really, really important. I would like to see that relationship develop even further, so that we can offer more and more experiences for young people with special educational needs, learning disabilities, and who need experience of social and professional interactions. Because I think the museum is a safe space that can provide a great opportunity for that, but also that the museum can really benefit from those interactions, those voices, and allowing people to tell their own histories as well.
One of the projects that the students did was to cover LGBT themes in Leeds, and they put together a display that was shown at the museum. A wonderful, they curated, did signage, and gave the students such a lift to show what they're able to do and explain about herself. Another group of students celebrated 100 years of Leeds United and put together again a display of different players, and a film was shown. Again, they loved it and invited their parents and carers to come and have a look. The third one was a young man worked with a group of primary students who would come in weekly, and he would show them around the museum and explain different exhibitions and help them with work. Again, that gave him the opportunity to apply for work in the future and put that on his CV, and he absolutely loved that work.
So as you can see, Esther's activities were very important to the museum organisation and really important to those young people and the tutors who were involved. And it's part of the reason why we believe that more could be done. And this is the reason why we approached the Miranda Rothschild Foundation for funding to be able to start the Careers for All programme. And we secured £32,000 a year to essentially pay for staff, travel and resources for the programme per year. Now, Careers for All is designed to suit a diverse audience, and that is the reason why our programmes are diverse as well. We decided not to just focus on one element of careers, but to try and deliver a range of different career aspiring activities. This includes career fairs, both internal ones that we deliver ourselves to schools and colleges, as well as external ones where we go to visit. We deliver outreach, where I will go into a school for pupils who perhaps might be less comfortable going outside of that safe environment. And we also deliver taster days, and these are basically one-day work experience opportunities where that young person will gain practical, hands-on knowledge about jobs. They won't just sit and listen to somebody tell them about it. They will actively do some of the job roles of either curators or conservation or interpretation, and actually physically be involved with those real life experiences. This is one particular aspect of the programme that has been so popular that we've trialled it with some partners outside of Leeds Museums and Galleries. So I'd like to introduce now Amy from the National Coal Mining Museum to talk a little bit about her experience introducing Career Taster Days to the National Coal Mining Museum.
Hello, I'm Amy and I'm a learning coordinator at the National Coal Mining Museum. I work on a project at the moment which helps to link young people with their heritage. So when Carl from the Discovery Centre first mentioned about the Careers Taster Days, I thought it was fantastic. A lot of young people come to museums and think that they're dark, dusty places, and that just isn't true. And it's nice for them to have the chance to come through to a museum and for them to realise that it's not true either. Now, we currently have 2 young people who have done exactly that and have actually ended up working at the museum because they felt connected to the museum, its story, and it linked with their heritage as well. I went to observe a workshop at the Discovery Centre, and Carl was really helpful in supporting me to be able to facilitate this workshop within our own museum. Carl helped to book schools in, he gave us resources, and so far I've facilitated 2 workshops at the museum, and Carl's come through to one of them as well to support me in this. What stood out for the staff about these careers taster days, the staff that are involved with it, is the difference in confidence of the young people from the start of the day to the end. Not just confidence, actually, their knowledge as well, and the words and the vocabulary they're using and picking up throughout the day. We currently have curators, tour guides, educators such as myself, and the horse keepers that work with the young people on the day. And this gives the young people the chance to see firsthand that there are lots of different jobs in a museum that require different skill sets and expertise, and it gives them the chance to see whether those jobs are for them or not. What stood out for me particularly is the amount of young people who had never been to a museum before and didn't know that jobs within heritage were an option. So due to the day being focused on a variety of different museum jobs, students were given the opportunity to learn new skills and develop an understanding of specific job roles within a museum site. On both occasions, I did notice a big difference between the types of language that young people used at the end of the day compared to the start of the day. I do have an example of this. So when one young person at the end of the day said that, a curator looks after the objects in a museum, that's the same as me. I collect gaming figures and I keep them safe, I keep them in a display case. So it's the same as that. I think this was particularly significant for me because it showed me that they really did understand the meaning of what a curator did, and they were able to put it into the bigger picture. And that person had never been to a museum before and didn't know what a curator was at the start of the day. So another success of the day is being able to demonstrate to young people how the skills in the heritage sector are transferable. So we look at skills such as teamwork, communication, patience, attention to detail, organisation, research, designing, writing, creativity, enthusiasm, patience, being friendly, etc, etc, etc. So lots and lots of different skills. And this is a great way for young people to link in their own skills and qualities and see the benefits. So it's really nice for them to see that some of the skills that they've already got would transfer into museum jobs, or if they did have a museum job, those skills could be transferred into a different job as well. The confidence of each group did significantly improve from the start of the day to the end of the day. So one student that stuck out in particular said at the start of the day that they felt really, really nervous. They'd never been to a museum before. They weren't feeling confident. But the same student at the end of the day did say, I want to come back here with my family. I want to tell them about it. I'd never been to a museum before, but actually I love museums. So that was really, really nice to have comments like that, because it demonstrates the value of these taster days. It gives young people new opportunities and experience, and it builds confidence as well. And it gives them different option of a career choice. I've really, really enjoyed delivering these taster days. I think they're really meaningful, and it gives young people the chance to learn new skills firsthand, which is brilliant. They're not just reading about it in a textbook, they're getting a chance to actually experience that for themselves. So I can't wait to deliver more of these sessions in the future.
So the fourth and final main activity that we deliver as part of Careers for All is work experience, which tends to happen over a term block where the pupil will come in one day a week for that entire term. Now, it's important to note at this point that all of the activities that we do are linked quite strongly to the SEND Code of Practice and the Gatsby benchmarks. Now, the SEND Code of Practice states that young people from year 8 onwards should be given career aspiring opportunities. So this includes meeting employers and employees and being able to be signposted to where to find the careers they want to follow. On top of this, the Gatsby benchmarks is a huge core to our programme, and indeed something that a lot of our local schools follow in order to help their pupils to progress with regards to employment. Now, there are 8 Gatsby benchmarks in total, but there are 4 in particular that are relevant to our programme. These are addressing the needs of each individual pupil, linking the national curriculum to work and work experience, to have encounters with employers and employees, and to have experiences of workplaces, which is what Careers for All is all about. So it's important to point out that Careers for All is not a one-size-fits-all. The pupils who engage with our programme are incredibly diverse and have a range of different needs. I have worked with young people with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism and dyslexia, and each individual has their own way of learning and their own strengths, and they're their own individual. And so there is no way to say this is the golden rule. However, we have worked through a programme which does work for the majority of pupils, and essentially the lesson to be learned is to take a gradual approach so that that young person isn't intimidated or scared by the idea of career and employment. So start really small, such as visiting the school yourself, go and meet the teachers and see how pupils act and interact within that safe learning environment which they have. What we do next is we invite the school to come to one of our museum sites and go on a recce day to have a look around, and that basically acts as a familiarisation. So if they were to visit again at a later date and do something a little bit more intense, then hopefully they will have that experience of being in the building and feel a little bit more comfortable. Following on from this, career taster days are a great way to then start introducing some of the job roles and introducing staff to the pupils who come and visit. And it's actually through these days that we find that our most successful work experience happens. Pupils on the bus home have commented that they really enjoyed the day and that they would like to come back and to do more. And these are the pupils that we have often said to the teachers that we will take on. However, it doesn't mean it's all done and dusted. At this point, what's really important is to make sure that the work experience matches the individual. I remember when I was a teenager and I went out looking for work experience along with my friends, and those who had the best time were those who were doing a work experience that inspired them for their future. And this is no different. So the pupil will be matched to a particular museum site. They'll be matched to a mentor that we think they would get along with well, and they would be given job roles and tasks that are related to their aspirations for the future and for their employability in the future too. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that one of the things that I often talk about is having meaningful work experience placements. And essentially, this means that I really don't want to have a career experience where a young person just does it as a box-ticking exercise. It is designed to help that young person bridge the gap between learning in school to being able to earn money in the workplace, and we want to be part of that bridge that builds the gap. Now, we do this in a couple of different ways. First of all is reflective journals are kept by the young person, and we have a number of different objectives that young person is aiming to achieve within the journal. 4 of them in total. The first one being that they used a STEM-based skill. The second being that they learnt more about a STEM-based career. The third being that they have learnt about a life skill that they could use in their future. And the fourth, that they have grown in confidence and self-esteem. And the pupil will spend a little bit of time at the end of every day either filling it in themselves or dictating how their day went to their mentor, and their mentor will fill in the form. And this means that they have something that they can take away with them, something that they can read when they have left their placement and realise what they have achieved, and therefore also what they can use and apply in their future. So when they're applying for a job, they might be able to look back at their journal and use it to help write their CV. Or if they're given an interview, then perhaps it will give them some of the answers to interview questions. And this is where the second part of making it meaningful comes in. With as many pupils as we can, we run mock interviews at the end of placement. This works because it provides that real experience for that young person, but also actually acts as assessment for us. If the pupil references their time that they had whilst working with us, then that shows that they have taken that as a meaningful and memorable experience.
Hello, my name's Sarah and I'm the Learning and Access Officer for Abbey House Museum and Kirkstall Abbey, part of Leeds Museums and Galleries based just outside of the city centre. We've been working with 2 placement pupils from the Careers for All programme from one of our specialist inclusive learning centres here in the city. We've been working half a day a week since just before October half term last year until just after February half term this year. Before we started with the pupils, we worked really hard with Carl to identify the different STEM activities that we may be able to offer pupils, and then we worked with the school to make sure that we matched the interests of the pupils with some of the activities that we had identified. We started off by offering a guided tour just as an induction to the pupils and introduced some of the STEM activities and opportunities that we had identified, and then we asked the pupils what they were interested in and what they would like to do. And what they decided is that they would like to offer a guided tour for their friends back in school and to incorporate some of the STEM activities and facts that they discovered on their guided tour, which was lovely because this isn't one of the activities that we'd presented to them. They'd come up with this on their own, so it was entirely pupil driven, pupil led, and led by their curiosity. So that's what we did. We worked together half a day a week, and we looked at what they were interested in, what questions they had, and worked together to decide how we could find the answers to those questions. They were particularly interested in how big things were, how tall things were, so we worked together with some trundle wheels and some trigonometry to find the answers to those questions. We also identified objects that they could use to help to illustrate different facts for their friends, and we interviewed different staff members around the Abbey on how to deliver an interesting and engaging tour. It was really lovely to see their guided tour in action, to see how they had grown in confidence and how articulate and engaging they were with their guided tour, and how their obvious enthusiasm and inspiration shone through and was picked up by their friends. I think, however, my highlight of the whole programme was seeing how the pupils interacted in the workplace and particularly in the staff room. When they first started, they came in and they quietly ate their sandwiches, sat round the table, and by the end of the project, they were talking to everybody in the staff room, not only about the things that they'd learnt and what they were doing, but just general staff room chit chat. They were really comfortable in the environment and they were really happy working with us in the Abbey. And for me, that was the absolute highlight of the whole programme.
Reflective practice is embedded in the whole programme, and that allowed me as a practitioner to reflect, but also to work with the students, reflecting on what they saw as their skills and their strengths. And from that, we developed the extra bit of the placement for our students, which involved them identifying something they wanted to do and taking on a small project and allowing them to work much more independently. It was identified by one of the students that myself being an older member of the workforce, I wasn't engaging with ICT as much as I could. So therefore they transferred a lot of our files into PDF format to make it easier to send out resources to teachers. Second student, they developed a publisher template, which again allowed us to produce really good quality files and activity sheets for visitors at weekends and families. There was lots of engagement in our face-to-face work, and I was surprised how easily students adapted to that. You know, standing up in front of 30 school children in character in our immersive history sessions isn't easy for anybody. And they took it quite well and quickly adapted and added quite a lot of value. Evaluation from a lot of our schools demonstrated the value they added. I kind of like some unexpected outcomes, and from the evaluation, one of the unexpected outcomes was some teachers actually are daunted bringing sent students on a school trip, but we were able to clearly demonstrate that by only making some small changes sometimes we can be inclusive and creative and engaging. Other little unexpected outcomes for me were projects the students undertook. We were creating an inventors shed as part of our Leeds to Innovations gallery, and I found a student googling the chemical formula for slime, which a lot of parents will know was popular at the time, and painstakingly writing this formula on a blackboard to create an innovative space and an aesthetic space for our visitors. In developing a lot of our STEM work, of course, we had to test, not play, test a lot of our equipment. So to see water-powered rockets shoot up over our museum, to see races with solar-powered cars outside our museum was brilliant and vibrant. Needless to say that our students were involved in doing the risk assessments as well. But it captured the imagination of passers-by, and our students again engaged amazingly with them and were very keen to tell them that museums aren't dead spaces, that they are alive and they're not just about dusty objects. So yeah, it's benefited me as a practitioner. I think it's benefited our organisation, and I look forward again to working alongside students and colleagues from the Careers for All programme.
What things did you do on your placement?
We did a lot of work on Alaska, finding animals native to Alaska and some history. We went to the History Museum, we went into the artifact storage and looked at anything connected to Alaska and animals.
What did you learn about?
We looked at the history of Alaska around 1919 to 1920s, which is when my worldview is set. Whatever artifacts that we find had to make sure that it would fit into display case or hang on the wall behind. I researched things that could be added to my worldview story.
What was the best bit?
Drawing my characters, creating my own characters, and creating the story. Looking at the artifacts and trying to find the connection to my work was really interesting.
Do you think it helped you with what you want to achieve in the future?
I want to create stories for my comic books and have them published. Yes, it definitely helped me, teaching me research history for my characters. Also, I can use real historical people in my stories, such as Benjamin Franklin or George Washington. And Cal was very supportive and understanding. He helped me to keep on task and do the things I needed to do on that day. Thank you, Cal.
So the Careers for All programme is really popular here in Leeds, and in order to show you what it means to a variety of teachers, I'm going to show another couple of videos. And also you can read the accompanying document that was written by Jamie Darby, who is a teacher at a local Silk Specialist Inclusive Learning Centre. And he describes how their school approaches careers, but also how the Careers for All programme plays into the things that they do.
The difference between SEND careers guidance and mainstream careers guidance, it really isn't too much. In my opinion, it's more that it needs to be delivered in a slightly different way to ensure that the confidence of young people is increased, which is similar in a mainstream setting as well. But also the confidence of the employers in removing any barriers that they have towards the employment of a young person with SEND. And I think that tailoring the Careers for All programme to ensure that happens is crucial in enabling our students to move on to paid or voluntary work in the future. The Careers for All programme has been important for us at the North West Silk because it has shown our students what's available to them in the world of paid and unpaid employment. It has increased their confidence in going to places of work and has allowed us to focus their learning activities in school towards meeting their aspirations regarding employment in the future.
Hello, I'm Vicky. I'm the evaluator for the Real World Science project at Leeds Museums and Galleries. So far what I've done is I've talked to teachers who are unanimously delighted with the placement opportunities now available for their students with additional needs. I've also talked to the pupils themselves on placement. They can all articulate what STEM means. I've attended workshops about the job roles within museums and galleries and just exploring where the STEM elements fit in there. And I've also attended a careers fair day with lots of different organisations, mostly arts-based, and they've all been really enthusiastic about the possibility of extending their placement offers to include a STEM element as well. So it's been a really exciting time. Looking forward to more of it.
So what comes next? Well, the funding for phase 1 of Careers for All is coming to an end, and we are hoping and put a bid in to continue the project for another 2 years. And we really hope this comes into fruition because we want to embed this practice as much as we can within Leeds Museums and Galleries so it can be sustainable and last for a longer period of time. Also, through the second part of the project, what we want to do is to write and then use and share a Careers for All toolkit, basically giving an opportunity for other museums and heritage settings to get involved, to give these settings the confidence and the knowledge of the sorts of things that you can do in order to help support this community and to help create these opportunities for young people with additional needs. So I hope you found this presentation useful. Maybe it will be something that will help inspire you and what you can do within your own sites and museum and heritage settings. My details are now up on the screen, and by all means, if you want to know more, then do get in touch. Otherwise, stay safe, keep well, and thank you very much for listening.